Good afternoon from the garden. It's the end of October and last night we had another frost, which means it's time to harvest our sweet potatoes. We filmed a sweet potato harvest video last year as well, and in that one I shared that after several not very successful attempts to grow sweet potatoes outside, we started growing them in the greenhouse and had much better results. So this year too we had them in the greenhouse. However, a few weeks ago we visited a Belgian sweet potato grower who's experimenting with new varieties and also breeding his own varieties, and he said that growing sweet potatoes outside in our climate is perfectly possible as long as you plant the right varieties. So that's probably what we're going to do next year. I'll try to get hold of the varieties that he recommended and maybe do a comparison, plant some in the greenhouse and plant some outside. But we had seen his results and he had huge tubers. So probably we'll give growing outside a go again. But now let's check our greenhouse and the harvest that we have this year. We grew the sweet potatoes in 1/3 of our greenhouse because we try to do a little crop rotation with nightshades, plants from the nightshade family in 1/3, and then another third the sweet potatoes, and the third we have cucurbits, plants from the cucumber and melon family. And the nice thing is that sweet potatoes obviously are not related to any of the other crops, so they're very well suited to this crop rotation. I had two varieties this year. One is Indosweet, and that's an orange skinned and orange fleshed variety that we have been growing in the past years. And I also, the plants that I have, I grew from our tubers that we, I have a tomato plant above my head, that we kept from last year's harvest. And they keep so well without any special circumstances. We just have them in a crate under the bed in our unheated bedroom, and they keep until May, and they're in perfect condition. So that's it's one of the reasons that sweet potatoes are a very interesting crop for us. So that's one of the varieties, and then I ordered two plants of another one, and I will have to look up what this one was called. First I'm going to cut the vines. And you can see these have not been hit by frost yet, which is probably a good thing because sweet potatoes should be harvested before the temperatures of the soil drops below 10 or 11 degrees. The leaves and shoots are edible as well, though I must say we have not been harvesting a lot of those, but I hear they're very popular in Thailand. I removed the leaves, and now let's check out the tubers. I must say that I'm not very hopeful of a great harvest, because that's totally our fault, because we have not kept up with the watering. So it could very well be that the harvest is less good than last year. And it's very important not to damage the tubers, because that would mean that they would not stir as well. Okay, so there are some tubers, but they do not seem very large. Another plant, and it's quite funny to see how the way the plants grow. It seems there are some contorted tubers close to the surface, and then there are some longer ones, but I'm sure these could have been bigger if we watered them better. Okay, so far we don't have very many, or we don't have any large tubers, and as I said, we're probably to blame ourselves. Oh, finally, this is a nice size. Oh, and there's more. I don't know. Could it be that we watered the plants in the middle of the bed better? Maybe. This plant was of the different variety, Erato Pleno. And you can see it has a different color. It's more purple, but the flesh is white. It seems to have done okay, not really better or worse than the Indo sweet that we've been growing so far. But I will definitely try to save a tuber for planting next year as well. So this is the total of our harvest. It's probably comparable to our last year's result, though I'll have to weigh the tubers first. We have few decent sized ones, both varieties, but we have lots of tiny ones as well. We'll eat those first and then try to keep the larger ones longer. We'll first cure the tubers, and that's something that's done both to make them store better, because the skin becomes tougher and prevents the tuber from drying out, but also during the curing process, starch is converted to sugars and the sweet potatoes actually start tasting sweet. Ideal temperature for that is about 25 to 30 degrees Celsius, but that's nowhere in our house at this moment. So 20 degrees will have to do, close to the heating. Lower temperatures mean that the process takes longer, not that the sweet potatoes will not become sweet eventually. The space that has become available in the greenhouse I'll be using for planting some more winter salads and garlic. And that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And if you're growing sweet potatoes, let me know how they're doing in your climate, what your results were this year, and maybe also what varieties you're growing. Happy gardening!